If someone questions your decisions publicly, or maybe a team member rolls their eyes, or someone takes credit for your idea, how about someone misses a deadline for the third time and doesn't seem to care? A team member just challenged you in front of everybody. You can feel your face getting hot, your jaw tight. Every instinct in your body is screaming at you to fire back. What you say, though, in the next 3 seconds will either earn you respect or destroy it. This is the most important communication skill that no one teaches us, and I'm about to give you the exact words to use. Welcome, everybody. I'm John Espinosa. 20 years building teams, 4 organizations, a consulting business. I'm a papa. I'm a dad. And I can tell you, I've been in this exact moment more times than I'd like to admit, professionally or personally. Early in my career, though, I didn't have a playbook for it. Someone would push back in a meeting and I'd just react. Sometimes I'd shut them down too hard. Sometimes I'd get defensive, but every single time I regretted how I handled it. It took me years to learn what I'm about to teach you in the next 10 minutes. This one technique changed how I handle every emotional moment as a leader. And it's not about being calm. It's not about stuffing your feelings down. It's about having a go-to response that buys you time, protects our credibility, and keeps the relationship intact. So here's the big idea. You don't need to control your emotions. You need to control the gap between your emotion and your response. Every one of us, every leader that I know, we have triggers. If someone questions your decisions publicly, or maybe a team member rolls their eyes, or someone takes credit for your idea, how about someone misses a deadline for the third time and doesn't seem to care? You're going to feel something. It may be anger, it may be frustration, it may be disrespect. That's the human part of us, and we can't stop that emotion from arriving, but there's a gap. Sometimes it's only 1 to 2 seconds between the moment that we feel the emotion and the moment that we respond. And that gap is where your leadership lives or dies. Most leaders react in the emotion. The best leaders respond after the gap. So the technique I'm about to give you is how to widen that gap from 2 seconds to 10, and what you say inside it so you come out on the other end looking like a leader your team needs. So John, what's the technique? The technique I call pause, name, and redirect. 3 steps. It takes 10 seconds, and it works in every emotionally charged leadership moment. Just a quick pause in our episode. This might be exactly what you need to hear. If you're currently leading a team, or you want to lead a team, and you're spending your days putting out fires, you're not failing, you're just stuck. Because when everything feels urgent, nothing actually improves. And over time, that starts to chip away at our confidence as a leader. I've led teams under pressure for years, and firefighting isn't about effort, it's about those missing leadership systems. When expectations are clear and ownership is real, our teams, they stop reacting and they start solving problems without us. So if you're ready to lead instead of react, click on the link below, book a call, check out our consulting programs. All right, back to the episode. So step 1, the pause. The pause is going to buy us time. So think about this. When the trigger hits, just don't speak. Instead, do one of these 3 things. Pick whichever one feels most natural to you. First one, take a slow breath and say, "Give me a second with that." Or take a drink of water. It sounds simple. It is. But it forces a physical pause that interrupts the reactive cycle. Or maybe try this. Write something down. I always, in a meeting with pen and paper, and I coach on this. Grab a pen, jot a note. It looks like you're being thoughtful. But what we're actually doing is we're giving our brains just 5 seconds to shift from emotional reaction to deliberate response. And the pause doesn't need to be long, 5 to 10 seconds. It goes by in a blink of an eye, right? But those seconds are the difference between reacting and us leading. So here's what matters. The pause itself is communication. When your team sees you pause instead of react, what they see is composure. They see control. They see someone who can be trusted under pressure. The pause isn't wasted time. It's the most powerful thing that we can do. So step 2, name. We have to acknowledge what's happening. So after the pause, just name what you're experiencing. Not your emotion, but the situation. This keeps things professional and it shows the team that we're engaged but not avoiding. So here's the exact words that I would use. If someone challenges you publicly, you could say, you know what, that's a strong point. I want to make sure that I give it the response it deserves. Another example would be if someone is disrespectful. You can say, I can tell there's some strong feelings here. Let's make sure that we're having a productive conversation. Or if you're angry and you just need more time, you could say, I have some thoughts on this, but I want to be intentional about how I respond. Let me come back to you by the end of the day. That's it. Naming the situation does 2 things. 1, it tells the other person that we heard them. That way, they don't escalate the situation. And then 2, it gives us permission to take the time we need without looking weak or avoidant. So step 3, redirect. We're going to move to a resolution. So once we've paused, once we've named it, redirect the conversation towards a productive outcome. So this is where you lead instead of react. If it's a meeting situation, you could say, here's what I'd like to do. Let's take this offline and give it time it needs. Could you and I connect after the meeting? If it's a one-on-one situation and you get triggered, I want to continue this conversation because it matters. But I want to make sure that I'm showing up the right way. Can we pick up this and then make a specific time? If somebody genuinely is just out of line, you could say, I hear what you're saying, and I want to address the content of your point separately from how it was delivered. Let's talk about both, but not here, not now. The last one is critical. It doesn't let the behavior slide, but it doesn't blow up the room either. What it says is, I'm not ignoring this, but I'm choosing when and how we address it. Very important point there. So again, let's go back over those. Pause, name, and redirect. Pause, it's going to buy us that 5 to 10 seconds. We're going to breathe. That breath, that's my go-to. Take a breath before you respond, or take a drink of water if you got water, or I always carry a notepad and a pen with me. Write a note. The exact word you could use is, give me a second with that. Step 2 is going to be name. So here we're going to acknowledge the situation, not our emotion. So something like, that's a strong point. I want to give it the response it deserves. And then step 3, we're going to redirect. We're going to move to resolution. Take it offline, or we're going to set a specific time. So here we could say, let's take this offline and give it the time it needs. So let's move into some quick hit scenarios. Where this is going to work, I'm going to show you this in action across moments that I've witnessed leaders get triggered, or again, during the coaching sessions, these are real life examples. So what if someone questions your decision in front of the team? We're going to pause. You're going to take a breath, and then you're going to simply state, give me a second with that. We're going to name it. That's a fair challenge. I want to make sure that I address it fully, and then we're going to move to redirect. Let me take the time and come back to the group with a more complete response. I appreciate you raising it. So the result is we look thoughtful, but not defensive. And the person who challenged you feels heard, not shut down. The second situation is a team member rolls their eyes or shows visible disrespect. We're going to pause. Don't call it out in public. We're going to go ahead and finish out the meeting. We're going to name it in private. So afterward, I would say something like, I noticed something in the meeting that I want to work to address. Then we're going to redirect. I want us to have a good working relationship. Can we talk about what was going on for you in there? The result is going to be we addressing the behavior without creating a public scene that shows emotional maturity, and your entire team notices it, even if they don't say anything. Another situation, maybe we receive news that makes us furious. Could be a missed deadline, could be a broken commitment, it could be somebody dropped the ball, right? So we're going to pause. Do not send an email. Do not make the call. Wait 30 minutes minimum for something like this. We're going to name it. After those 30 minutes go by, you can say, hey, I need to talk about what happened with whatever the situation was. I've had time to process it, and I want this conversation to be productive. Then we're going to move to redirect. Here's what I need to understand, and here's what I see going forward. The result here is the conversation is firm, it's clear, and it's fair, instead of being reactive, heated, or damaging. So how does this tie into the lead framework? These things connect to the lead framework. Listen, the pause is listening. So we are going to listen to our own body, recognizing the trigger, and then just choosing to not let it drive our emotion. That's called self-awareness. That's the foundation of emotional intelligence. The next thing is going to be envision. Before we respond, we're going to envision the outcome that we want, not the emotion that we feel. It's the outcome. So do you want to win the argument or keep the relationship? Then we're going to align. Alignment is the pause, name, redirect. This aligns our response with the values that we have as a leader, not our egos, our values. And then drive. The emotional regulation is going to drive trust. Every time your team sees you handle a triggering moment with composure, their trust in you is going to deepen. And that compound interest in your leadership is going to go on for a long time. So here's your assignment. Think about the last time that you reacted instead of responded. That moment you wish you could take back. And now replay it using the pause, name, redirect technique. So what would you have said differently? This week, the next time that you feel your heart rate raising or that heat or that flushness in your face, I want you to just use the pause. And then simply say, give me a second with that. That's it. Start there. So let me land this. You're going to get triggered. That's not a weakness. It's proof that we care. The question isn't whether the emotion shows up. It's what you do in that gap between feeling it and speaking. Pause, name, and redirect. 3 steps, 10 seconds, and that is going to be the difference between a leader people fear and a leader people trust. The leaders your team remembers won't be the ones who never got angry. They'll be the ones who got angry and still chose to lead with composure. Be that leader this week. Do me a favor, click on that subscribe button. It helps me out tremendously, and I promise that I will continue to bring useful tips every single week. And then drop me a comment. What's the moment you were triggered? What are those things that you as a leader always trigger you, right? And then how are you handling it? If someone hasn't told you today, I believe in you. Go be great. Talk to everyone on the next episode. Bye-bye.